All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bro Stop Yelling podcast. I am Ammo, your host, and we got a gentlemen over here. We got Kenny, we got Ant, and we got Dre. We're going to be discussing the last couple weeks of the season and kind of overall recapping the entire 2023 NFL season now that the Jaguars did not make the playoffs. The Panthers were eliminated in September, and the Eagles finally showed their true colors and took a first-round exit. So we're going to get into all the details of how each one of our team's seasons ended and what the outlook is for us now that we have a couple weeks of football left where none of us have any dog in the fight. So we're going to start with the Eagles, and Dre is going to tell us what he thinks about the collapse of the Eagles.
Boy, oh boy. You know what? Obviously, I'm disappointed, but I can't say I'm surprised. Watching the Eagles lose to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was similar to watching somebody that's on life support having the plug pulled. The Bucs put us out of our misery. We've seen this collapse trending. I think we ended up ending the season losing 5 of our last 6 games, including the playoffs, losing 6 of the last 7. We started 10-1, and that was great. But at the end of the day, the whole season, we were kind of just always telling ourselves, oh, they're finding ways to win. They're winning in different ways. This is great. But what we were seeing all along is a team without an identity. And we got considerably worse. We changed defensive coordinators midway through the season and got worse. And like I said, I can't say I'm surprised because I've seen the demise coming. We saw it all along. I mean, when you look at our team compared to last year, especially on the defensive side of the ball, I think we were number 1 in pass defense last year. We're second to last in pass defense this year. We were 8th in scoring defense last year. We were 27th in scoring defense this year. In total defense, I think we were a top 5 team last year. We were bottom 5 this year. So the point is, we just weren't the same team defensively, offensively, same deal. A team that just slowly fell apart. And on the biggest stage in the playoffs, when the lights are brightest, we failed. And like I said, I wasn't surprised. So I'm pretty much disgusted with the way the season ended up, considering the expectations that we had to start the season. Personally, I feel as though when you have a collapse like this, change has to happen somewhere. So I like Sirianni. I think he should remain the head coach, but all the coordinators, I think they have to go. And I think that's Sirianni's only shot to save his job if he makes some wholesale changes at those coordinator positions. And just think and look long and hard about how the season went. I mean, we had a whole identity that got us to the Super Bowl last year, a blueprint that was right there for us. And it seems like we tried to reinvent the wheel this year. Jalen Hurts alone averaging, what was it? I think 3 or 4 less. Actually, it might have even been more than that. Like 5 less carries per game this year versus last year. Huge difference, right? Like even running the ball in general, we just stopped doing it. And I don't even understand. Even if you look at the Tampa Bay game, we rushed the ball. I think there's like 2 plays on the first drive and had success running the ball and then went away from it for the rest of the game. So just inexplicable things. And again, a lot of it has to be coaching. These players didn't forget how to play football. When you look at our roster, we were the deepest team in the league. We had one of the best rosters in football. And at the end of the season, we're looking with these same players and being like, damn, like our secondary just isn't good enough. Our pass rush just isn't getting there. And these were highly touted, top-performing players just a season ago. So when I look at things like that and the consistency of the demise, at the end of the day, in order to get better for next year, we need to make changes in the coaching ranks. Like I said, Sirianni, I don't think should go, but everybody else got to get out of there.
Okay, because I was literally about to ask, like, if you got this deep team, like, at what point is this gonna fall on coaching, and how far do you want to push it? Do you want to get Sirianni out, but you want to keep him? You want to get rid of everybody else?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and I'm gonna
What do you
agree with
think?
him.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with him, and I think that if we play the cards right, I think that we can probably get a good offensive or defensive coordinator. That's been a coach that might, that's been a head coach that we might be able to get on our team. That if Nick Sirianni does continue on with his job this year, we have like a replacement. And I know it's not ideal to always, think that's how you're gonna, do it, but I think he's on a short leash. Yeah, and I think he's on a short leash. I mean, I think that the way that this season ended has a lot to do with him as well. I understand players didn't make plays. I understand changing the defense at the not even the midway point, past the midway point. I think it was week 14, so we had 4 games left to play. So a lot of things, some things above his head, I believe that he doesn't have the say in. He just kind of has to be the puppet. But the way that I feel like just the locker room didn't really want to, I don't know. No one looked like they wanted to play. And you can go back to literally the San Francisco game after they went up on us. That point of our season went downhill. We literally didn't look the same after that. And at one point of the season did we look like, we had any more fight in us, where games before, even though we were squeaking those wins out, like when Jalen scored that touchdown against the Bills, and he's in the end zone, well, it's a rainy day and his hands are open, and it's like that nice picture that a couple people took. Like, that's what we remembered, throughout all the other parts of the season. Devontae Smith throwing the alley to A.J. Brown then he never actually dunks it. Like, a lot of these things, we still looked happy to play football, and we were looking like we wanted to play. And then out of nowhere, San Francisco happens. We go down. We lose that game. Next week, Dallas, we lose that game. And we just went downhill from there.
Right. But the thing that bothers me is we had so many games that should have been a wake-up call, right? Like, you lose a game that you shouldn't lose, and good teams respond and, use that to, like, kind of catapult them and build momentum off of getting right after one of those letdowns. And like you said, Ant, we just continued to continuously fall, collapse, and had a bad performance one week, and then with even worse in a different area the next week. Defense looked out of sorts completely. Shit was crazy.
And most head coaches are going to take over play calling or give it to somebody else. You know what I mean? When our offense wasn't doing what it was doing, I understand we did the switch on defense. Well, the switch on defense was worse. Matt Patricia had a worse defense than when
there was also a low-key switch on offense, which it hasn't been talked about, and I don't know if you saw the reports or not, but like, it got to a point where on offense the players were confused as to who was calling the plays. Yes. We didn't know if it was Brian Johnson or Nick Sirianni calling plays.
Right.
So again, terrible. Changes were made really on both sides of the ball, and because of that, think about it. If you're not even confident in who's calling the plays and what identity you're assuming on offense, because let's be real, when you play on defense or offense, your defense or offense assumes the identity of your play caller. Like, if you're an aggressive play caller, on defense, your team's going to blitz a lot. They're going to get after, and that becomes who that defense is. You know what I'm saying? Right. So to that point, if you don't really know who that person is, or you switch mid-season, or to your point, beyond mid-season, like, how do you switch gears just like that and then continue to play at a high level? You can't.
Right. Yeah.
So again, that's why I feel like within the coaching ranks, that's what let this team down more so than the players on the field.
And how is it that Kyle Shanahan can go through all these other players and still have coaches, and still have the players still play at an all-time high? Like, I understand that he took Steve Wilkes out of the booth this year, and obviously it did change the defense, but it's the NFL. Sometimes you have a skid. I know a 3-game skid isn't ideal, but I don't think taking him out of the booth was like he was a terrible defensive coordinator and then he just became great. I think he was good. But anyway, my point is that he's continued to have a great defense with them. You had D'Amico Ryans, and then you also had Robert Saleh. And it's like, how are all these guys that you guys just keep finding that are great? And, I would say the one thing
like Carolina let them go.
The one thing with the Eagles last year is that we lost our coordinators after the Super Bowl, and almost every other team already had their players and coaches. Their coaches in place. Mm-hmm. So we were picking from like the crumbs. You know what I mean? Like, so literally, it was like, okay, Sean Desai, and like, I promote Brian Johnson just because he's more familiar with what we've been running. But like, I think next year you're going to see a huge difference, because I think that we can, if Mike Vrabel doesn't land a head coaching job, maybe he's a DC. You know what I mean?
I think he would.
Ron Rivera.
Don't play with me like that.
Ron Rivera, I would like him over there. I think that he could bring a fire as a DC that,
right.
A head coach takes a lot out of you, and it doesn't allow you to be, a fiery in your face type of guy that he might want to be as a DC. He has to be more tame. He has to be a different person as a head coach. Maybe he comes over and he's a, that leader that we need. Oh, there we go.
And one thing else. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say.
My bad. I'll say it quick. I said, who knows? We get a good offensive coordinator, good defensive coordinator, we're right back in the dance next year. I'm not saying Super Bowl. I'm saying like the playoffs, like, in a dominant team.
Yeah, no, definitely. And my last point about all of this is I like Sirianni. Even though we did get stopped in that game, but not every team had the Vita Vea, so there's that. But anyway, Jeff Lurie is not a patient man, and I like Sirianni. I want him to stay, but history shows that Lurie will replace your ass if you underperform at the coaching position. And especially if there's potential suitors out there or potential candidates out there that are attractive, which this coaching carousel will produce both familiar faces who have been around for a long time and some new up-and-comers who have some teams real excited, right? So if, the Eagles see a better potential head coach out there, don't be surprised if Sirianni gets the chopping block, even in the same offseason for us now where we see McCarthy gets to stay another season.
I was going to ask, in closing with the Philly game especially, or the season in whole, like I noticed watching the game sometimes, I think, Dre, you kind of pointed to it, like the secondary. It felt like almost like the secondary was detached, like from like it almost was like a different team playing completely. I mean, I hate to just call out like a whole one court, but that's like what I was watching. Was just
their secondary's been ass all year.
I mean, that's
true.
And
it's not the lack of players,
right? That's what I mean. Like the talent is there,
right?
But it just seems it seems like there's sometimes, I think even Ray Lewis or something may have kind of went to it, but it's like you feel like you can't trust the guy that's coming behind you or something, or you feel like you're playing like straight up with a guy versus like in a scheme that you're actually going to be able to like web in things like that. But
bro, teams attacked us the same way for 7 weeks straight, and we couldn't do shit about it. Couldn't do shit about it.
18 weeks. We got torched on defense consistently, pretty much.
No, but I'm talking specifically like, how the NFL is like a copycat league. The blueprint gets out, and then teams play you a certain way,
Right.
And like if a
You try
team
to
has success
adjust
and the
everything
team
you
next week is going to do their version of it.
Right.
Mhm.
We went through that for 7 straight weeks and could not fix it, bro. If you
Right.
attack us in the middle of the field, you will have success. You will.
Yep.
It
And
seemed
we
like it
couldn't
was a
do
formula
shit
that
about it.
stayed kind of thing in a way. I was curious of that, and then curious of obviously Kelsey, hinting at retirement, and then Lane Johnson also possibly looking into it as well. I mean, with you mentioning Dre, and Philly, I think you mentioned as
Fletch,
well,
Brandon Graham, like
like
those 4 I'm looking at, I feel like they're all 4 are going to be gone.
right.
Well,
Like I feel like
Brennan,
you
yeah.
mentioned, like the identity, like it has no other choice but to change.
Maybe not
now at this
Lane. Maybe
point.
not Lane. Lane still got
BG
years
will
left
be
on his
back for
contract,
1
too.
year.
Okay, that's what
I think BG will be back. If Fletch wants to be back, he'll have to be back at a super discount. We can't pay him that much money at his age for him to basically be not a starter either. The reason why he started is because, he's making so much money. So it's like you have to start. You have to be out there. You have to play. But I think that putting the hands,
but he's a
putting
guy
it,
that you want out there though too. Like
no,
he's like,
100%. But you also want him fresh at an old age.
fair.
Like
That's fair.
he was really, really good for us this year. So I'm not trying to pull the old card because he was probably our best tackle besides Jalen Carter, who obviously
I need Fletch 20
thing.
snaps a game max.
Right.
At
I
this
need
stage
him,
in his
But him
career.
in the same locker room with Jalen Carter is going to pay dividends, I believe.
I need
it's just
him in that BG role.
It's that passing the baton, so to speak. Like I
Right.
think that's. Who else better to learn from?
Right. Go in there, get your snaps, make your little bit of money, retire at Eagle after next year, but give it a better run because this is not how you want to go out.
Yeah. And honestly, like for me, it's really hard to evaluate the players this season because I personally don't feel as though they were set up for success and put in a position to be successful. Because like Jordan Davis, I expected to be a little bit better this year. Jalen Carter started off strong and kind of faded as the year went on. Yeah, Hassan Reddick exactly. So I could literally go name by name, but to save time, call it a mulligan.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get some fresh coaching, fresh perspective in there, and let's see what we can do when we run it back.
Then we're all going to see it this weekend when Houston takes on Baltimore. Check their defensive end because it's a former Eagle and he's been making plays over there since he's gotten signed. Derek Barnett, and what he do all season with us, not a squat.
Shit.
Exactly. So it's like I think our scheme really. I think when we lose players and they go to other teams and all of a sudden they start and they're playing good, I think that says everything about our schemes and our coordinators and what we have running with those guys.
True.
Hell, I could even Baker Mayfield.
Oh yeah,
he was just with us.
He threw 400.
McCaffrey, he's in there. It's like DJ. Like, trust me, I'm with you. I feel your pain. That's all.
Right.
Like it's just to see that shit after this horrible
Browns
year.
are more at fault for Baker Mayfield than the Panthers would be. The Panthers had him for a season, and he was.
But I'm saying we got rid of him and then moved on and then moved up into a draft where it's like. Who knows?
For that, like I fault the Browns for giving up on a guy that led them to the playoffs and then got hurt a couple years in a row and tried to play through injuries and obviously wasn't as good because he tried to play through injuries and then you just dump him to the side and then go get a guy who's worse.
Now hold on, question: if Baker Mayfield plays the same as he played this year, but he was over in Carolina, do you think Frank Wright would have kept his job?
Kept his job, but they wouldn't have been good. That's a shit team.
If it would have been DJ, Adam Thielen, and
it would have been a building year, though. You think it would have been better than them?
If we would have kept Chuba Hubbard and Devontae Foreman with Baker Mayfield, Adam Thielen, and DJ Moore, I would have trusted that offense. I think a little more right now. As it stands, because I'm thinking DJ Moore, Adam Thielen, that's 2 viable options. You have Chuba Hubbard that was showing serviceable this year. Devontae Foreman was putting up decent games and goal line potential. It's hard for me to think that it would have been any worse.
Well,
can't-
the thing
not to
is,
discredit Bryson anyway. I know it sounds like slander, but I have faith in him. But I have to
Right.
think of the what if in a way of like, obviously you see Baker huck this just out of nowhere ball, and you're like, where was this random like swagger? Where was this like faith in yourself? And then it's like Matt Rule is obviously.
I think what Ammo said was right. You the Browns fucked him up. I mean, the guy had a great. I think it was not a great year, but I think it was a good year his last year in Cleveland before they traded away for Deshaun.
He had a
Right?
good rookie year.
No, I know he had a rookie year, but I'm
real
saying
solid rookie year.
But I'm saying even the year that they ended up trading, I think he had a good year that year, and then they traded him away and got Deshaun. So it's like, of course, he's like, damn, dude. And I think that's the year that he brought him to the playoffs. No, or did he not?
The year before, yeah, I think
I
you're right.
think it was. I was gonna say because I know it was like it must have hit him hard because if that was the actual scenario, if I'm remembering correctly, that would suck. And yeah, you're like, damn, dude, I just brought Cleveland to their first playoffs in how long, and then you go get rid of me for Deshaun Watson, who's got allegations, and you're about to pay $250 guaranteed $1 million for someone who hasn't played football in a year and some change. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah, but that's a symptom of today's NFL, right? Everybody's super impatient, and if you don't have that like star quality or it factor, you're just you're a bridge. You're essentially you're just there
Like,
until they find a new shiny toy. Yeah.
It's going to be a mistake if the Bears let Justin Fields go because he's going to be good, but they're in that exact same situation where, like, have they seen enough to keep him when they're staring down the barrel of being able to take whatever quarterback they want in the draft?
Right.
So,
Atlanta signed Belichick, and they trade for
Justin Fields. That'd be wild. I know Atlanta would want him.
100%.
Hell yeah.
I am terrified of when Atlanta figures it out at quarterback. That is no joke over there. Like, that shit's terrifying. If Pitts can figure it out, whatever coach goes up there is going to know how to work with
a quarterback that can throw them the ball
consistently. How are you going to feel when you get Belichick
yeah.
and Justin Fields in your division?
Yeah.
I've had Sean Payton here. I've had, I've had Brady here. I've had, like, I'm used to it at this point. I got to see Prime Vic like up close and personal, like murder us.
Manning and Luck.
Like,
I got the good version of Deshaun Watson, Steve McNair.
Yeah. All right. That's fair. That's a good one.
I had Tony Romo.
Oh,
you did.
And that bad man they call Eli Manning.
All right, guys, and that's been the Bro Stop Yelling podcast. You can check us out next week. Hopefully, season. Dre won't be here with his bullshit. So,
yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah, say what you want. 2 Super Bowls. You know what I'm saying?
Kenny.
Ruin the undefeated team.
I'm going to bring this back up because is there any hope for the Panthers? Bryce Young did not have a good rookie season. You had to fire Frank Reich. You still are going to have to deal with David Tepper being involved in football decisions, and that's going to be the biggest. That's why I really want to know, is there any hope for them? Because he's going to affect your ability to be able to get the best coaching staff, to be able to get the best people around Bryce, to be able to get the best general manager that's going to be able to build around Bryce. Like, this dude just does not give me any confidence that he's going to be that for the Panthers. So do you feel that there's any optimism? You don't have a first-round pick, so you're not picking till what, number 33?
Yeah, like it's
So
second.
that's tough. What is there to look forward to if you're a Panthers fan?
Optimism wise, I think it's going to be a stage of free agency. I think we're going to have to, pass the bag to people. We're going to have a lot of money to spend, but obviously, what you mentioned, draft picks, and I mean, we kind of hit or miss sometimes with draft picks. But when it comes to like hope, it is going to have to depend on who we hire as coach. Somebody is going to have to kind of have that divide, have that respect, which is why I know I've been kind of crazy with those, speculations and stuff on other casts and stuff with like crazy options.
We're about to hear something wild, guys. Just so you know, that's how he prefaces.
Oh, I know.
Bullshit.
That's what it leads into.
Okay.
But it would have to be something crazy to put someone, and it's like I can go on record with it. It's like obviously Tepper has that ego of it. He's had success before, but this is a different field. It's a different thing.
Dude's about to suggest that he's going to bring John Madden back from the dead to be the head coach. Like, it's going to be something absolutely wild.
Better than Rule Steel. Either way, I think it's going to have to be. It's just going to have to be somebody that is going to be able to, I guess, convince Tepper that they have it under control and stay out of it. I mean, it doesn't. I don't have any faith in the sense of him making football decisions because I think he's just a businessman. He's not a football person. I don't think he's understanding what a chemistry means to a locker room, what a team, I can tell you, I've lived in Charlotte with the 2015 season, walked streets downtown. It felt different. It was a different field. It was a different place to play than what it felt going to games this season. And, it's like, Dre and Philly mentioned when, speaking on the Philly game, it's all about the chemistry. It's about having like a culture, something to lean back on when you are down, to still kind of have a snowball that will build up. And we don't have that right now. I still appreciate, I know it is small and kind of minuscule in the grand scheme of things, but the fact that Bryce kept his like ritual of, in the half being the first one at the tunnel and, dapping everybody up as they go in, like he kept that going. And for somebody like Bryce that's not used to losing, I think it still kind of speaks to the character that you have under center. So it's like, I have more faith in the team that's assembled than I do the guy at the helm, which is kind of scary because you can have great crew, but if you're captain, you can still sink a ship. You know what I mean? Because you're leading those smart men into some crazy shit. It doesn't matter at the top. So it's like, I think when Carolina's in a weird spot where we don't really know who we are. I think on the field, off the field. And unfortunately, as the fandom, like as a person that kind of grew up with Carolina football, it's a weird thing to see when you had those fair weather fans. Nobody's checking in. It's a passerby thing. It's a first date type of thing now at this point. You had brunch. Oh, we got $5 tickets to the game. We got nothing else better to do. That's not what I recall, what I've seen. I've seen Steve Smith. I've seen Peppers. I've seen Cam Newton making these runs, these incredible games. We don't have that right now. There's no fire to us. So I think it's going to take us going through free agency and trying to generate something through that. But it's going to take that.
Are you sleeping?
No, I'm awake.
My bad. My bad for the ramble.
I don't know.
I thought I was on to something there for a minute.
No,
Nah, you was. I was actually going to chime in real quick and just say that we've.
I'm letting him rock, bro.
Hey.
Like this?
Yes.
There you go. Thank
Clear
you.
eyes is awesome.
Now we know you're fucking paying attention.
Yeah, I can open your phone.
No, but what I was gonna say, Kenny, is we've said this on the show a few times now, just about young quarterbacks, right? That more of them are ruined than developed. And now Bryce is gonna go into his second year with a second head coach. He's probably gonna have to learn a second offense. And that's not typically a recipe for success unless they end up getting it right this time around. And
right.
I would implore, I just implore the Panthers organization to take their time with this pick and really don't just go for that big name or, some
fourth
name because exactly, right?
So get yourself an Urban Meyer.
No,
Man,
don't do that.
Have him
Right.
around this college.
So take your time, get a real football guy who has a plan specifically for Bryce Young and this offense. And like you said,
We need to
don't
buy
be
some
afraid to
kneecaps.
spend in free agency.
Right.
So I'm really,
know.
I'm really curious to see what the Panthers end up doing. And it starts obviously with the head coach, but
Right.
I feel like that will tell us a lot in terms of whether this next chapter that they move into will be one that can be promising. Because at the end of the day, there is talent on that team. They can absolutely develop. And your point about having no identity, it's because you guys are rebuilding.
Right.
A part of rebuilding is establishing that identity, and you only do that with consistency. So,
Completely.
I just hope
It's
that
just
they
you
get
feel
that. Yeah,
like
exactly. I just hope that they get that going forward.
Completely agree. Like you felt it, and it was weird because it's like watching the team under, and it's a very big deal, especially under with Carolina fans about Wilkes. Like you felt that was Carolina defense. Like when we had Reddick on the team, and it was Burns and DB was getting at the quarterback, and like it was they had Chin actually playing safety, and he was making these like jacking hits. Like it, we had that kind of identity where it fell so flat. Like it just, unfortunately, like I think that Hassan and Bryant Burns, I think they were going like tit for tat. They were like 10-10 sacks, and it was just, you felt it. There was something there. It wasn't quite there, but it was a couple pieces, and now it just, like you said, it's like you rebuild completely from the, hopefully Bryce is that foundation, and then we can start building our wall and go from there. But
all right, well, it's gonna be tough because there's a lot that needs to be done over there in Carolina to build a competent football roster. So
true.
We are gonna move on. And Kenny can shut the fuck up.
Oh, we could talk about the Lions South. Actually, I shouldn't even say that because the Lions are actually in the playoffs and won a playoff game.
They made it.
Sorry, Lions.
No, take it away.
Well, you're sitting at 8-3, top of the conference, looking like you could push for a 1 seed, maybe finish as a 2 or 3. Everything's looking good. Trevor's not even playing his best, and the team is rolling. Like, if they could have just fixed up a few things, like some key drops in the end zone, if he could, fix up a little bit of the fumbling issues, the interior
back of the end zone
line, like, there are a few things that could have made the offense actually have better stats in the beginning half of the year.
Like connecting with Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, like I think him and Calvin Ridley had 3 or 4 dropped touchdowns on the season. But
we'll try to sign him too.
The season 9-8, which is exactly what you finished the year before. And I didn't really predict that the Jaguars would go crazy when they would progress from 9-8. I didn't think they would go fucking 14-3, but I thought they would win 11 games, maybe 10, 11 games. I think they would win 1 or 2 more and comfortably win the division, go to the playoffs, wouldn't be a problem. Should have beat the Titans, but they come out flat and just look like absolute shit, just completing the absolute collapse of the Jaguars season.
Y'all were running a 10K and moonwalk to the finish line, and they got lapped.
If we actually make the full and necessary firings like Press Taylor or Trent Baalke, getting one or both of them out of there, then I guess it's a necessary evil, because Press Taylor does not need to be calling like the attachment to Press just needs to be gone.
I was going to say, Doug, won't get rid of him.
The bad stigma that comes from Philly with that whole story about how it's part of the reason that he got pushed out, like he needs to just detach himself from that and just be done with it. But it's always going to follow him. It's always going to be a talking point, and it's louder than ever now because press is not good.
No.
But what would make you want to double down more for your boy than people like trashing him? Like, I mean, that's now
But
what
the
do you
thing
do?
is like, wouldn't you want job
Yes.
security by getting like a better
Right. Of
coach
course.
to coach your quarterback so that you could, actually maybe push for a Super Bowl
You know what
appearance?
though? I'm gonna say this. Maybe just maybe some of these coaches are like players, and maybe they just don't care. And maybe it's like, yo, I'm a head
Mhm.
coach. I'm locked into 5 years, 50 mil, 10 a year. Okay, fire me in 2. You still owe me 30. Let me get hired by another dude. Okay, now you hire me for another 3 years, 25 or 30 mil. So I'm still making another 10. And now fire me again. He is literally going to be making money for what? Doing like Frank Wright, for example, over in Carolina. He is going to be making money for the next, I think, 5 or 6 years, and he's going to be doing nothing.
Projected. I wonder if he's going to do this, try to do the same thing he did with Rule, like kind of a settle out type of thing. But now,
Right.
whether or not he takes it,
Yeah, I don't know what it is though about these head coaches, especially with their coordinators, but there's
Right.
definitely an allegiance they have. I mean, we've seen the same
Right.
thing in Pittsburgh with Matt Canada. Like everybody was calling for his head, and Tomlin kept him around as long as possible.
he like doubled
Same thing
down.
with the Saints. Pete Carmichael, like everybody was calling for this dude's head, and finally, I think at the end of the season, I think today or yesterday, they finally fire him. So yeah, I think a part of it is these coaches hold on to these coordinators longer than they need to, and it can end up to their demise. Hey, we're seeing the same thing in Jacksonville. So the bright thing is, Dougie P is not alone in his allegiance to his coordinator.
So, to kind of elaborate a little bit further on the Trent Baalke, Press Taylor situation, supposedly Trevor Lawrence has an opinion on the front office / coaching structure of the Jaguars. Apparently, Trevor Lawrence is not a fan of Press Taylor and does not want him around anymore. Now, I don't know how fully 100% true this is, but the guy that, puts it out there normally is pretty good with the info he gets, and maybe it doesn't always end up, like he said, Byron Leftwich would end up being the head coach, and that was very close to happening. Like some things happened behind the scenes that changed at the last minute, and they pivoted away from that and went back after Doug Peterson. But outside of that, this dude's always been pretty spot on with getting information. So I also think that Trevor doesn't know that if Trent Baalke's the right dude to bring the talent in around and build the team. So if that's actually what Trevor's feeling, then Trevor deserves everything that he's going to get because he knows what the problem is. Like he deserves blame too because he has to work on fumbling issues. He's got to work on, other things. But if you don't have an interior offensive line and the pocket's getting pushed from in front of you and not collapsing around you, like you can't step up. If you can't step up, you're losing the middle of the field and you're losing everything that's not your first read. So they need to shore that up to give him a chance to be able to get through his first read. He has one of the fastest time to throws because they're all doing these, they call like one of the highest screen rates in the league. It's all just dink and dunk stuff because they don't trust their offensive line. So they really need to address it, and they need to replace at least 3 out of the 5 offensive linemen for next year.
Hey man, Tom Brady dink and dunked his way to Super Bowl.
Yeah, but he also had an offensive line that he could dink and dunk, but he was going through his progressions to hit the right dink and dunk. He would go through his progressions and then hit a check down. Trevor is getting a designed rollout where he's hitting someone in the flat, or he's hitting someone on the screen. So it's just like there's no progression. He's not taking the chance to see the field, to see if there's that shot play because they don't have the line to be able to do that. Calvin Ridley drew the most defensive pass interferences in the entire league, and the Jaguars led the league in those calls by like a significant margin. But that's because he can't get good throws off to actually get completed. No offensive line. So if they're not, Trent Baalke can't do that for him. Get him out of here.
Is it?
Let's get somebody in the building that's going to build, because you don't want to have an Andrew Luck situation. This dude
Right.
had, he had a knee injury, then he had an ankle injury, then he had a concussion. Comes back from a concussion, then it's a shoulder injury. This dude had 4 different injuries in like a 6-week span, or maybe it was longer
Right.
than that, I can't remember.
They
but
do not want
it was
Trevor
like-
going into a season like that.
It was just back to back to back to back, and it's like, if you're gonna do that, you're gonna lose this guy, or you're gonna pay him, and he's gonna be toast before you even get the back half of that contract. So
Mhm.
serious things need to happen. They fired their defensive coordinator. They fired a bunch of the defensive staff. So they've made some changes that need to happen, but there's got to be more heads that got to roll here.
Where do you
Mhm.
sit on the speculation that Trevor does not like the offensive coordinator? Like, the reason I'm asking is because this is
I
the
could
most
agree with that,
consistency he's
because
had.
why would anybody like him?
Well, it's not for. I mean, it's
Like,
him.
it's
It's
pretty
his
obvious.
decision
You
kind of
look
thing.
at
His
you look
opinion
at
type of
Trevor
thing.
Lawrence's passing charts. You look
Right.
at the stuff so you can actually see what they're targeting on the field, and
Mhm.
it looks like you fucking want to put training wheels on something. It's stupid. It's not an NFL offense. It's some bullshit that just needs an adult to take back over. Like, yes, it's still Doug Peterson's system,
Right.
but it's not what it was last year.
It's like his most consistent coaching that he's had, like, in his NFL career, and it's just like it's weird to think that he would go out on a limb to go like, this is like
Well,
that's
he didn't go out
that's
on a limb. This
or
was
not on a limb, not like
this
an
was-
official statement, but like speculation. I guess, but
This is private statements that
Oh,
people.
okay. So it wasn't brought up to like Doug Peterson about like, hey,
No,
this
it's like
okay,
supposedly
it's
these
supposedly,
are how
okay.
he feels.
okay.
Yeah.
There's reports of possible. Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
then-
and I made the joke earlier, but the Jaguars' trajectory does remind me a little bit of the Lions in the sense that, obviously they're building something down there. They're getting marketably better, each and every year, to the point this year it was the expectation and the popular opinion that they would be the team to win the division.
they're gonna walk.
So obviously they've grown and developed into a point to have those types of expectations, but you don't get to being a great team and accomplishing the things you want to without going through some pain and some, growing pains at that and learning. And I think that's all we're seeing from the Jags is, guess what? We have those expectations, but the league's not just going to give it to us, right? And we fell short. And I think that's going to make this team a lot better, especially, you keep that core together. Obviously, you make the tweaks in coaching that you need to, but, I think you keep the leadership intact for the most part. I think Doug Peterson's the right guy down there, maybe for biased reasons, but, I happen to think that, what happened to the Jags this year is a blessing in disguise because they're going to be that much more poised next year. And, I think, again, all good teams have to go through some adversity before they get to the top. So this is theirs.
Well,
Yep.
2 important things I think need to happen. Hey, Kenny,
What?
I'm gonna just ask you. To
Why do you
go,
keep putting these fucking
because
numbers up?
He's being a piece of shit.
because of why?
No,
Because of the 3 straight runs?
It was
Yes.
no, because they refused to run.
Or
last-
that's what I
their
meant. The 3
last
straight
drive.
passes.
we can't
Oh my
run. We
God,
have
he's
no
still
push
talking
in the
about
run
this.
game.
This is
You-
why this guy's been throwing up numbers consistently.
second
Like
and
he's a
2,
gang member.
Third
Yeah.
and
Right.
2, 4th and 2. Their last drive ended with what was it? An 8-yard pass, and then it was a 2nd and 2 pass for incompletion, 3rd and 2 pass for incompletion, a 4th and 2 pass for incompletion. That ended your season. You had 3 rushers on that team that game that were over 3.5 a rush. 3 different players. You decided not to run one of
Nope.
them.
Do you remember how Dallas' season ended last year?
It's just I was like, what?
Ezekiel Elliott under center.
Hell
He's
yeah.
getting absolutely crushed.
Right. I
Cut him some slack. All right.
looking back at that, it's
was
just so
solid.
wild.
3 straight
Though.
passes is better than that.
It's just
You
it's-
remember how the
I guess a
Seahawks
time
lost
reason,
the Super
maybe?
Bowl?
Right, you should have ran it, but that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, it had to be maybe a
Marshawn.
time thing. How many? Maybe I didn't pay attention to how many timeouts they had.
Maybe.
Maybe it was like, but if they would have even completed it, the time would have still went. So I'm like, that makes no sense. Like, get the first down. You're already down by 8. Like, get the first down. I don't know. I don't know. That's just something odd
Listen, man. Listen.
to have
That's
such a
Press Taylor.
right. I mean, that's. I can see where he would be frustrated and say that after that sequence because it's like
No,
it makes no sense.
Get him out of here.
Right.
I
Get
need
him up out of there.
So the two important things that the Jaguars need to do, they need to pay Josh Allen whatever the hell he asked for. I don't care. Whatever he asked for, blank check, sign that shit.
Y'all are good about that though.
Calvin Ridley.
Yes. Where you at?
Here's the thing with Calvin Ridley.
Oh boy.
I mean, route
Yeah.
running.
Oh boy.
He had a good season and a disappointing season all at the same time. So
Disappointing for a player that played continuously and then played into the season or skipped and missed a year. Not skipped, because that's rude to him.
No.
Missed a year and then came back. That's
Missed 2
Pretty-
years.
2, excuse me.
no,
Yeah,
one full season and half of another.
that's 2 years.
Year and a half.
Yeah.
Away
1.5
from the game.
rounds up, that's 2.
Listen,
I like your math.
the man still went for 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. Okay?
That's what I'm like.
Solid. Like, you would look at that number and you'd be like, okay, that's not a bad season. Maybe not a great season, but that's not a bad season. But when you look at the way the season happened, it's a little more disappointing. Because you factor in, I think somebody tallied it up, like some of the bad drops that he's had would have added another like 200 yards to his tally. And he had at least, I think, I'm remembering, 3 or 4 dropped touchdowns. You add another 200 yards, 3 touchdowns to that tally, now you're talking about a very, very good season. So,
Yeah, but
there.
if
Hold
was
on,
a
hold on,
fifth,
hold on.
we'd all be drunk, bro. Like,
So
come on now.
Hold on. And then you factor in that he led the league in defensive pass interferences drawn. So, okay, he got 1,000 yards, he got 8 touchdowns, but he did a few more things that showed that he has that potential to still get to a higher level if he could just shake out a few of the little rusty things, like dropping a couple of those touchdowns, or a couple of the miscommunications with Trevor where he's not on the same page and now Trevor threw an interception. Like, there's a couple of those things that can get cleaned up now that he has a full offseason. So I'm in the realm that if you can get him at the right price tag, you pay him, but you do it in a way where you do it after the draft so you don't give up the second-round pick.
And what is the right price tag for a player like Calvin Ridley?
I'm not paying him over $20 million like the top.
Are you betting on Calvin Ridley?
Annually or a total contract?
Annually. Like,
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was thinking, 15, 16
if
a
you
year.
if you can get him for 15 or 16 million a year
So
for, like, let's say a 3-year deal,
Yeah.
and you can do that after the draft
Mm-hmm.
so that you can keep your second-round pick and give up a third,
Mm-hmm.
I am on board for that. I would take that. If you're gonna
Yeah,
have to go up $20 million and you do it before the draft and you give up a second-round pick, like, bro, no, I'm not about that. I don't.
Yeah, but I don't think Calvin is walking into the office commanding 20 mil.
No, I don't know. That's why I'm saying, like, I don't know what's going on. Like, he
Maybe
did
at
miss a year
17,
and a half.
18, maybe though.
It just
I could
depends
see
on how
that.
because they still paying a pretty penny for Christian Kirk. Zay Jones might be a catch casualty
Yes.
because of his
Don't get me
contract.
wrong. Odell fucked the game up a little bit with his contract, getting what he got and for what he's producing. But like, I don't think that's a reset of the market. I think that's more of an anomaly than anything else. And I like that is fair for Calvin. And I think maybe spruce up the guarantees a little bit and you got yourself a deal. I don't think that's a
Jags got
problem.
a
I think that's easy
lot
to
of
get done.
money that they can cut out.
Yeah.
Somebody
Oh,
put
okay.
up like
Awesome audio.
Yeah, you're mute, bro.
Audio.
We can't hear you.
Just can't.
We should all just leave.
Just dip me and
Right.
come back. Like, what the hell?
Everyone just cover your
Right.
camera.
yeah, fuck you guys. So there's about another 50 to 60 million potentially that we could clear up in cap space. We have about 35, I think we're supposed to have. So we could really have an insane amount of cap space if we wanted to really reset the roster and go younger and do things like that. We could do that. We could cook some of that. We're going to have money to spend, so we'll be able to make some things happen. A lot of that is going to go to Josh Allen, but the first year cap hit won't be that bad because every time you re-sign a player, the first year cap hit's always lower because that shit's pushed out in the rest of the deal. Calvin Ridley.
I
It's
worry
just
we're
how
gonna
you're
have to tag Bernsey. I don't think that's.
Just let that man go.
A lot of big changes are going to happen this offseason that I think are going to be.
Yeah, I
More-
would just
more than
caution the
expected.
Jags, though, man. Like, when you get a lot of money, you don't feel compelled that you got to spend it and
Be
retool
frivolous.
the
No,
roster.
I wouldn't want to spend it. I would rather like do it in a smart way and get younger, like more prove it deals with some.
How much are you having cap?
Wouldn't that?
How much are you going to have in cap?
I think we have like around 30 to 35.
Oh, okay. I think I heard something this today or yesterday when I was reading something on the Eagles, or listening to something on the Eagles. They were saying I think we have like 40 to 50, and that's before Howie flexes the books. You know what I mean? There's people like Bradbury who are on the books for money next year that I think he could probably restructure in some way and get rid of that.
Man, Bradbury gone.
No, I know, but I'm saying I think for money
Especially after that
purposes,
last.
yeah, I think for money purposes, it's got to be like a restructure type of thing, and then maybe cut. I don't know, but I was hearing them say something about that because of dead money. But we've ate dead money before, so who knows? But whatever. I think that we're gonna have a good amount of money to play with too.
You
And-
have 28 million.
Oh, okay. I don't know where they were coming up with the 40 to 50 then. Maybe that's
In
expected after.
2025. 2025, you have 40 million.
Yeah, but we're going to have to pay some people between now and then. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know, unless they were anticipating things that were coming off the books maybe already,
no,
like
they
I
were
said.
talking about next year, bro.
Oh, that's weird then. I wonder. Oh, okay. I wonder what the fuck they were talking about next year for. I thought they were talking about the year that's coming up now. That doesn't make sense for them.
I think
bring that number out, but
I think we were looking at like 23 something, but
28 is not that much.
they're gonna be moving. I think Jackson off the books. I think he's like 15 next year, and Martin's up to like 30. I think next year. Hopefully it's a restructure, but we'd have to. I think we'd have to add years to his contract to restructure it, but I don't know. I don't know what they're going to end up doing with it. But I think the Bridgewater money, the Mayfield money, the Darnold money, all that shit's coming off. So hopefully,
All right,
and cap is fake.
right, yeah, fake ass money. I have this amount of commas, and it just.
all right,
It's just a
guys.
number.
So it's been a while
Conspiracies are written on
since we had an update.
our Super Bowl predictions.
We
Oh, our pick
Bro, I haven't done pickups in like
I was out of the fantasy playoffs and
weeks.
I haven't done pickups in weeks either.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah, you guys lost. You guys suck.
You won by 1.
Yeah, and I think that's because you went an extra week. You
And
picked your
didn't-
yeah, it's because you got 1, 2, 3 extra, and you got a whole. Wait, no, me and you did the final week. Yeah, so you got an extra 3 wins that no one played.
Nice.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, the story on that is throw it out because it doesn't count.
At the end of the day, I still won.
If that's the win that you
If that's
want
what you
to,
want to take
tout-
away from the season.
you got it, bro.
All right, guys.
So I'm walking out with something.
Quickly before
God.
we wrap this up here, we got the Bills Chiefs
Shit's mine.
playing.
Taking this fucking.
We got the Texans Ravens.
Yeah, let's just make quick picks, not even go into much detail. It's already
I'm gonna
fucking
go-
11.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
gonna say Ravens, and I'm gonna say Chiefs.
I think that Texans Ravens game is going to be a lot closer than people expect, though.
Yeah, but I'm still gonna take Ravens and the
Oh, yeah.
Chiefs
Nice.
Okay.
for the AFC.
Okay.
Yep. And then what you got for the NFC? It's Packers 49ers on Saturday, Bucks Lions on Sunday. I would say Niners and Lions is probably where
Yeah.
most people are going to go.
That's
I just have a weird feeling that the Packers are going to keep it
gonna
close and
surprise
and-
people
and-
and fucking win 2 playoff games.
bro, we've seen it before, and I don't know if the Green Bay Packers play the way they played against the Dallas Cowboys. I find it hard for 49ers to beat them. I know that 49ers have a way better defense, bless you, but I mean, let's see how they come out. They can get their doors blown off, and then whatever I just said right now looks stupid, but I just have a weird feeling.
I equally
I
have a
mean,
weird feeling.
Right,
about
I
Tampa
see you
Bay.
shaking your head, but they lost against terrible competition earlier this year.
All right. So,
Listen.
Ant, what do you have for the AFC?
This guy was about to go into a deep exhale. I got Ravens and Chiefs. Ravens and Bills. Actually, sorry, and I got Lions in. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna go with the upset and go with Packers. Fuck it. I'll go out on a limb. I don't care.
Dre,
It's just
let's hear what
regular
that sigh was
pick'ems.
about.
Nah, I was just gonna say the 49ers are a buzzsaw. They have unfinished business. That's a team that's not playing around this postseason. I fully expect them to handle business. But again, just as you know, Ant could be wrong in his prediction, I could look stupid next week too, and they could lay an egg. So we'll see. But that's my Super Bowl prediction. I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but just everything I've seen with that team and what they've been through over the last several seasons and being so close, I think they do. But for my AFC predictions for the divisional round is I have Ravens Bills. Now, as far as the NFC goes, I have Niners and I have the Lions. The only thing I want to say is when everybody feels like something's going to happen, some
ain't
shit's
gonna
going to be
happen.
different. Yeah. So we're going to be
Packers.
surprised this weekend about something, and I can't wait to see what it is.
All right, and Kenny, let's lock that in.
I agree with Ravens and Bills. I think Bills figure it out against the Chiefs. Finally, pull the upset. I think the Texans end on a high note, but I think it does end here. MVP Jackson is just, that's just a great team. It's ran well, top to bottom. I think, and then NFC, I got to go Niners, and I think my upset's going to be the Bucks, though. I think it's got some energy to it. It feels like watching that game. It felt like it had a little bit of an energy to it. I wouldn't be shocked if the Lions maybe underplayed them or maybe thought like, all right, this is going to be.
So Dre is the only one that does not have a unique pick.
Well, I will say this though about
All green?
Ant has the Packers, and he's the only one that took the Packers. I have the Chiefs, and I'm the only one who took the Chiefs. Kenny is the only one who took the Bucks, and then Dre doesn't have anyone that he took that was.
Dre's going Texans
Right.
for the upset of the century. CJ Stroud goes into the stratosphere. You know,
Nah, but all I'll say is about that Bucks Lions game is like the Lions are a team that has always touted like we don't care who we play,
right.
we don't care when we play, where we play, we're gonna bite your kneecaps off, right? If there's one player that encompasses that, it's Baker Mayfield. Like that dude is tough as nails.
Mhm.
He's gritty,
Down but not
and
out.
if that game is close, bro, like I can
With
see
Godwin
it.
and
Kenny.
Evans and like
I could
they
see
were
it.
playing for Baker. You could kind
Yeah.
of, they were like, all
So-
right, he's just going to do his thing. We're going to let him do it, and we're going to work like it. They look smooth. I don't think that was just
I do like that pick.
let's go.
That man fucking ripping smelling salts as he's walking out the tunnel.
Psycho.
It's like,
But,
dude,
that's-
that's that
he is-
sporadic shit you need in the
Nah,
playoffs.
he is
Because
a
it's
true
like, it's
Florida
a
game of
man
inches.
now, bro. He is a true Florida man now.
yeah. He's down the road.
he got him from ammo.
Oh yeah, no, I got the plug. for
Ammo to
smelling
plug.
salts.
Smell the
Yeah,
salt,
bro.
Selling him the
Yo,
salt.
you need them
Boost
salts.
Mobile by day,
You,
Bath
you
salts by night.
You need smelling salts. You need bath salts. I got you. Whatever you
Yeah.
need. You need that Himalayan pink salt to
I'm
cook
the
with.
salt
I got
man,
you,
yeah.
bro.
Hell yeah, he pulls out
That
fucking.
shit.
Not the Himalayan
That
pink
shit, son.
salt, bro. Yo,
Whatever you-
Kenny, bro,
Oh,
I know you don't got the
hey.
fucking pink salt lamp, dog.
Himalayan
Come on.
salt, baby.
know
It's
this
good
little
for your
thought has
energies. It's good, you know.
All right. On that note, Kenny's a
Harness
basic
the
white
cheese and
bitch.
shit.
Yo, that's crazy. This dude.
I'm just getting right with the
Okay.
Lord, man. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
What else is in that fucking room, yo?
Man, I got a Shaq sign picture. I got some whiskey. I got a pink Himalayan salt lamp.
Stop yelling, okay?
Oh, am I?
All right.
Anyway, that's gonna do it for another episode of the Bro Stop Yelling podcast. We'll be back next week discussing the divisional round and what the AFC and NFC championship games are looking like, and what the Super Bowl might be looking like now that we'll be narrowing it down. So you can find us all on the Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. You got Ant at ASousa203, Kenny at Stop Yelling Kenny, Dre at TheKid_24, and you got me at Ammo Jags. You can catch us next week. Peace.